As soon as RFK Jr. starts to call out the Democratic Party and drops a mega bombshell on Kamala Harris, CNN decides to cut the feed. We're going to be watching CNN have one of the greatest meltdowns of all time because this presidential race, the 2024 race, the battleground states, it just took a turn for the ages. This was a historic speech, one of the best speeches I've ever seen in my life, and I am not exaggerating. I don't know if you guys saw it. Maybe go watch the whole thing on your own time, but this is one of the best speeches. And CNN becoming the greatest propaganda machine of all time prove why RFK was saying what he was saying. Let's take a listen to what he said before they cut the feed that made them cut the feed and melt down. Smash the like button. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Let's tune in.
In the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues: censorship, war, and chronic disease. I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And
Boom. That's it. That's the moment where CNN knew that this was over. This was over. He's going to remove his name in 10 battleground states that pretty much help Donald J. Trump, and he's partnering up. He will be at his rally tonight.
In about 10 battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me. It's with a sense of victory and not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the impossible by collecting 1 million signatures, we changed the national political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption, breaking our addiction to war have moved to the center of politics. I can say to all who have worked so hard the last year and a half, thank you for a job well done. 3 great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, a war in Ukraine.
Oh, run that back. CNN starting to cut it.
And run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, a war in Ukraine, and the war on our children. I've already described some of my personal experiences and struggles with the government's censorship industrial complex. I want to say a word about the Ukraine war. The military industrial complex has provided us with a familiar comic book justification like they do on
monitoring
every war.
This from RFK Jr.
This
but
one is a noble effort
that
to stop
was
villain,
so
Vladimir Putin,
much
invading the Ukraine and then to thwart his Hitler-like march across Europe. In fact, tiny Ukraine is a proxy in a geopolitical struggle.
Doug High with us, as well as Johanna Maska. She's the host of the Press Advance podcast. She's a former Obama White House director of Press Advance. He's talking about wanting, and we've seen a press filing or a
cowards, you cowards. That was the best part of his speech. You freaking cowards. That was the best part. He started talking about Ukraine, started talking about why he left the Democrats. They made him run as an independent, and you guys cut off his feed to talk what? Let's hear him. Let's hear him melt down.
Obama White House Director of Press Advance. He's talking about wanting, and we've seen a press filing or a court filing in Pennsylvania. Yeah. So he's saying that he's taking himself off of these ballot access challenges in states where he would be a spoiler, right? Mm-hmm. These battleground states, like, tell me if I've got this right, Doug. But when it comes to a red state or a blue state, you can sort of, if you want to vote for him, you can then register how you feel about him. And then in the crazy possible chance of a 269 tie between Trump and Harris, then maybe he can just ride that all the way to the White House.
Yeah, I was watching that, and Donald Trump last week stood and said in front of a bunch of groceries and said, I haven't seen any Cheerios in a long time. I had Cheerios for breakfast. This was cuckoo.
Oh, my God. Oh, they're melting down.
For Cocoa Puffs. And trying to get any logic out of that is good luck with that. Because it's, one, you can't understand what he says. Two, if you can, you can't understand.
Wow. You piece of wow.
This was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And trying to get any logic out of that is good luck with that. Because it's, one, you can't understand what he says. Two, if you can.
Wow, you can't understand what he says. Now they're making fun of his speech impediment. Really? CNN scooping down to low levels because things are not going their way.
You can't understand what he says. And reminded of a line of in Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles when somebody gets up and gives an indecipherable speech. He says, who can argue with that? That's authentic frontier gibberish. And that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, to your point, though, Brianna, the big overarching issue here for both campaigns, for the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign, is the third party sort of X factor and what that means for turnout in November. So even if what he was saying wasn't easy to follow, it is still the concern of either campaign, which is partially why Trump is looking for that endorsement, that these voters are sort of the X factor in what they decide to do with RFK Jr. going into November when it's going to be such a tight race. And we've seen that before back in 2016.
And yet his supporters may be confused because we're even confused based on his own statements. Now we've gotten a fresh statement from his campaign clarifying previous remarks in which initially in this court fighting in Pennsylvania, it said that he would be endorsing Donald Trump. His campaign came out and said, that's not what's happening. Then he, in his remarks, said that he was throwing his support behind Trump over the war in Ukraine, what he described as the war on our children. And
yes, the big money, Trump, helping Trump. Yes. Yes. These guys are melting down. It's so funny. They cut off his feed because he started talking about Ukraine. And of course, that's the big money.
We just had a very nice endorsement from RFK Jr., Bobby. And I'll be talking about that. We're heading out right after this. We're going to be going to Arizona. We'll be talking about that and a lot of other things too. But I just want to thank everybody. And I want to thank Bobby. That was very nice. That was really very nice. That's big. He's a great guy. Respected by everybody.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like right now. I showed this video earlier, but I want you to take a look at the Trump rally today.
You know, we have some newbies hopefully joining the Trump movement, and they're coming from the Kennedy camp. I want to introduce you to Caesar. Caesar, also a young American voter. You can see he's got the vote Kennedy Shanahan. And you know what? There are rumors that potentially
MAGA and RFK Jr.'s base unite. MAGA and RFK Jr. unite.
Kennedy could come out and endorse Donald Trump today. Now, if that is the case, would you then change your vote from Kennedy to Trump?
Yes, I think anything that we can do to get Kennedy in a higher position is worth it. I believe any decision that Kennedy makes, it comes from an enlightened place. So he has my full confidence and support in anything he decides to do.
Boom. Wow. Look at that. He went to the Trump rally. Let's see if we could get a good audio here.
I'm sorry to keep everybody waiting.
This is why CNN is melting down right here.
16 months ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money.
Wow. Never forget this day in United States history, ladies and gentlemen. This was unbelievable.
Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate?
Bars! Woo-hoo!
In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a time to be alive. So CNN melts down. They cut off the feed. How long before they say this is illegal and they try to jail RFK Jr.? How long? How long before they try to jail Elon Musk? How long before they try to jail these people? He has spilled all the beans. Somebody said that in the comments. I want to read that. This is crazy. He's suspending his campaign in 10 battleground states. He's staying in the race to ensure his teamwork with Donald Trump. Let's just say something happens dramatically and he ends up winning because him and Donald Trump are already working together. So Donald Trump has safety net there. Not that he's going to need it because he's going to win, but he has his full support. And he spoke about how Donald Trump made him a promise. And Donald Trump's legacy, he wants his legacy, Donald Trump told him, to be about exactly what RFK has been preaching about: chronic diseases, kids, big pharma, big institutions, the wars, all these great things that RFK stands for. They can finally put it to work together. Ladies and gentlemen, CNN ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing. They're actually making fun of his voice. Just play this back one more time.
Last week stood and said in front of a bunch of groceries and said, I haven't seen any Cheerios in a long time. I had Cheerios for breakfast. This was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And trying to get any logic out of that is good luck with that. Because it's, one, you can't understand what he says. Two, if you can, you can't understand what he says. And reminded of a line of in Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles, when somebody gets up and gives an indecipherable speech, he says, who can argue with that? That's authentic frontier gibberish. And that's exactly what that is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, to your point.
Crazy. CNN is disrespectful now. All of a sudden now CNN is doing stuff like this where they're cutting off RFK, pretending to be confused. Yeah. Crazy. Can't make this stuff up. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. We got a big rally tonight. I will be talking about the rally. I will be covering the rally. Trump has a special guest showing up. I'm guessing it's RFK Jr. It could be somebody else. You never know. But I'm guessing it's 100% RFK Jr. We're going to be tuning into that. Also, Vivek Ramaswamy did some things last night that were amazing. We're going to be talking about that and a few shows to come tonight. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Spread the word about CNN disrespectfully cutting off RFK Jr. as he's explaining exactly what he's doing in his genius strategy of 10 battleground states where he's suspending his campaign, but still staying in the race long enough that if in case of an emergency, he's going to be right there to work with Trump, regardless whether he wins or loses. So smash the like button. Once again, I love you guys. And yeah, see you guys on the next one.